Welcome, guys and gals. We'd like to welcome you to our original podcast, Marvelous. You marvelous guys and you marvelous gals. Uh,
Debut.
we here with my man Sean Big G. What up, Big G?
What up? What up? What up?
And we got
Marvelous.
Dame. Dame, what's up, boy?
What's cracking? What's cracking?
Look, we here to kind of go over things in the Marvel universe and talk about Marvel, as all of you guys are excited about. And get this, what's bigger in the Marvel universe right now than WandaVision? And a lot of you guys out there are saying, man, I don't understand. I don't see what's going on, or it's not enough action. And I get it. I understand where you're coming from. And we want to address some of those things in this podcast, as well as give you some good information, some Easter eggs on things to come. So you guys, man, I mean, what would you say? Tell me, what would you say to the person who's just getting into it with 3 episodes in, and they're like, I don't understand what's going on, man. Help us out.
Well, I would say, man, it's an amazing time, because you got to realize we just left one total phase that was a world building situation in and of itself, with all of the movies from Iron Man all the way to Endgame. They built a whole world out of that, out of all of those movies. I can't remember how many, it's like 19, 20 some movies.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to do that all over again. You know what I'm saying? And so it's exciting. And the thing that I would just say, be patient. They're going there. If you notice, each episode of WandaVision so far, they're going somewhere. It's building. So I know these cats, man, and I know Sean probably gonna piggyback on it. Feige is like a mastermind. So I know he's got some stuff that's in the kitchen that's grinding away. And when the time comes, it's gonna be a big payoff, man. So it's an exciting time, considering if you think last year we had no Marvel at all. So the fact that we're back and the way they started, I'm just looking forward to it, bro. I really am. So be patient.
Yeah. I reiterate what Damon said about the patience. I look back on a few years ago when this whole Marvel concept and idea started. Many people were upset, like with the first Iron Man movie, and they didn't want the concept that he was building to a broader spectrum, which ended in Endgame. And Endgame was like the ultimate payoff if you're a movie person or just a Marvel head. To actually see the concept of the comics come to life on the big screen was just unbelievable. So if he was able to do that in his first juncture and first setup and first time with Marvel, can you imagine where we're going to go with Phase 4 and Phase 5? And the great thing about Phase 4 and Phase 5 is that Feige already has given us a snippet or a preview of what's to come. You have everything from shows like Moon Knight to She-Hulk to Shang-Chi. I mean, he's really touching all corners of the Marvel universe. So we know in many ways where this thing's going. We just don't know how it's going to build out. So I'm excited. I'm excited because it's so much new and so many concepts that's coming.
Right. The thing here that I think is really good for us is, and the average listener, the average viewer, so if you're an average Marvel movie goer and you're not into the comic books, he's giving you his pattern. He's actually giving you his mind, right? So you had the first couple of phases, phase 1, 2, and 3, and you got an opportunity to see how he thinks, dropping the Easter eggs in each one and building this whole presentation until we crescendo into something like Endgame. So just like what Big G said, just like what Dame said, you got to understand we're world building right now. So, and then he gave you his mind. So you have the opportunity to be like, okay, all right, at this point, this is what he likes to do. He likes to foreshadow in everything that he's putting out, everything that Kevin Feige's putting out, everything that the Marvel Universe is putting out. You got to know there's foreshadowing and what we call Easter eggs inside of everything. So he has to catch his mind.
Absolutely. Nothing is just happens just to be happening. It's going somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And the beautiful thing too, and I know Sean loves this, is the fact that for the comic book heads, he really throws these little nuggets out there that the average person might not catch. But to some of us who've read some of these comics, we're like, wait a minute, is this dude gonna go here? So, and I think we might talk a little bit about that later on with some of the stuff with WandaVision, because he's really doing it big time with this show. But I don't know, man. Y'all let's talk about maybe how the show's progressed so far, like where we are, where we're on episode 3 just came out Friday.
Right.
But you want to just kind of do a brief synopsis of the last 2 episodes and where we are now?
Dame, go ahead and start us out with one. Just kind of see how we're painting the picture.
Yeah, so the first one starts off with them, coming into this city basically, and it's all black and white, and it literally like something from back in I Love Lucy, Dick Van Dyke type episodes back in the day, and basically they're trying to live normal lives. They're really determined to live normal lives, but the one thing that you pick up on is that there's some quirkiness in this world that they're in. It's like some stuff is like off. It's not normal. And then of course, one of her neighbors, her name is Agnes, which we probably gonna be talking about Agnes.
Right.
Agnes comes on the scene, and Agnes seems to have this vibe that she kind of knows some stuff. She kind of has this vibe that she gives off like she's aware of some stuff, but we really don't know for sure. And so they get into this situation where they invite Vision. Vision is acting like a normal guy at a 9-to-5 job, and they invite his boss to come to their house. There's a little star that they have on the calendar, and they don't know what this star is about. And he realizes when he gets to work, the boss was supposed to come to their crib. So the boss comes to the crib, and Wanda's thinking they're gonna be celebrating their anniversary for that day. And so all these things get out of whack because now they got to prepare dinner for this boss. And she was thinking one other thing. But as they're sitting having dinner, the main thing that comes out is the boss asks them about their story. He asked them, give me your story. And it's like, they're like, well, our story. She's sitting there and she's like kind of not really aware of what her story is, or she doesn't want to really go there. Now, when somebody brings up something from your past and you don't want to listen to it, you kind of phase out. But in the process of her doing this, Vision's boss starts choking. And he's like choking, like literally, like, and his wife is sitting there saying, stop it. But she's laughing. It almost gave me this vibe. I don't know about y'all, but it gave me this vibe like Get Out. Remember Get Out when the black lady, the maid, she was crying, but she was laughing. It kind of gave me that same vibe. And so anyway, Wanda tells Vision, she gets real serious, and she's like, help him. And Vision helps the dude, he uses his powers, gets the food or whatever was blocking his throat out. And the dude just like, well, it's time to leave. It's like he didn't even, you choking, dude, you dying. And he just comes out, it's time to leave. And he's like, congratulating Vision for having a great evening for him, and he's gonna give him a promotion. And so that was pretty much how the first episode went. Now, bottom line, like I said, what we got from this episode was there was some weird stuff going on. And now, go ahead. Yeah.
Build on that, Big G.
So episode 2 just expands on what Damon was saying. It's still in the black and white concept. There's a lot of little mystery type things that's going on in the background that we see and we don't see. So we're like, man, what is this? Where are they at? What are they doing? And so we got a little glimpse of it from episode 1 at the end, where we saw there was an outside force sitting and watching a TV show, right? And there's a sword logo, which we'll talk about later, sitting in the background, and it was all in color. But then when you go to episode 2, it's like a Bewitched concept from the beginning with the storyboard, and you see the concept of Wanda and Vision flying around, and Vision getting ready for going to work, and he goes through like the bathroom and the shower and goes through the floorboard, and there's a couple of Easter eggs even there with the Grim Reaper logo in the floor. And then you see the episode starts out, and they're preparing for a talent show that goes on in the middle of the town that they say they've been having it for years. And the emphasis of the talent show was they have to raise money for the children, right? But the quirkiness or the weirdness of the show is, to this point, we haven't seen any children. So they keep saying for the children, for the children, for the children throughout the whole concept, right? So they go on, and Vision leaves and he goes to the basement of this building where he works. It's like a library slash computer program place slash whatever you want it to be. And the guys are sitting around and having a quirky conversation about, you know, how they're going to do the security and the concept. And that's based on, at the very beginning of the episode, where Wanda and Vision are there and they keep hearing a large explosion in the background, which they seem to discover is a tree branch. But in all actuality, it's something different. Anyway, they go from this setting, and then you see Wanda, where she's now introduced to the neighborhood, you know, the different women that's in the neighborhood, and they have this little luncheon and dinner. And at this luncheon and dinner, you pick up on, there's a lot of little subtle innuendos about what's going on. Everything from like the conversation or comment, the devil's in the details, and one of them says, well, there's more than one devil here, you know, to all the way to where they listening to the radio, and the main person that runs the community center grabs the glass and breaks in her hand, and blood is everywhere, you know. So it's almost like a trance-like illusion type. Something's going on that we just can't figure out, right? So then you move to the magic show, and Vision, while he was sitting in the basement of this meeting they had, he was given some red gum, and he's supposed to be like a synthezoid, right? So like the gum clogs up his ability to move and function. He almost appears like drunk. And then they go and they're doing the magic show, and Vision's basically like, well, I'm just gonna tell it. You know, I'm gonna show you that I'm gonna make this hat go through my body and all, and I'm gonna show you all this stuff. So Wanda subtly runs the illusion to show that it's like really old time magic, trick and mirrors, different kinds of rabbits already in the hat, all that type stuff going on. So, and then at the end, they bring in this character, this actually Monica Rambeau, from which they've already announced. Kevin Feige announced that at the Marvel setting, that it's Monica Rambeau. And if you remember, Monica Rambeau is the daughter of that was in Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel movie. She's the daughter of the pilot. So like, you're like, wow, how did she get into this world? How did the concept happen? So you fast forward, you move to the end, and Vision and Wanda's having the same quirky conversation. And it's almost like you can't figure out if Vision's driving the car, is Wanda driving the car, is it an outside entity driving the car? And they hear the explosion again. They go out and they in the front of their house, and all of a sudden, this being in a beekeeper suit comes up out of a pothole. And he's got bees all around him and everything. And Wanda says, no. And the film rewinds. And then they start over again. And then you notice that Wanda is pregnant. So and then she's pregnant, and she asks Vision a question, is this really happening? And she says, yes, Wanda, it is. And then instantly everything turns color. It goes red concept with everything. And the red turns into like this old school color vision, almost Wizard of Oz type concept that you see in the background. So it changed the concept or the narrative. So now we're like, okay, we're black and white in the color. Man, so it's a lot going on. So, and Ahmad, tell me about what you think about episode 3, man.
Well, see, episode 3 is now, to me, if you think about it, you guys, episode 3 has now tied in 1 and 2. And now the reason why I think everything went to color is because now you're going to start seeing things very vivid. They're going to start playing themselves out, because I'm going to jump to the end before I even start with the beginning. At the end, now we know that the environment or the place that they're in, Westerfield, that's a real place, but it's also an illusion. Why? Because we had a character thrown out of it. Now we have somebody who's been expelled out of the actual episode. Go ahead.
One big thing that I wanted to point out was this happened twice in episode 2, which really let us know there was really a big outside presence trying to get in. There's a voice that comes on in the middle and at the very end of the episode, and the voice is saying, Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda?
Yeah.
So that tells us a lot right there. It's like, who's doing this to you, Wanda? And so the question is she doing it to herself, or is other people manipulating what she also is doing? So
we're gonna get into that, Dane.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. We're gonna get into that after we shows, but because I definitely want to hear you guys and pick you guys' brain on that subject right there. But get this, because I mean, honestly, I didn't want to get into it earlier when Big G was talking about when he was talking about who's driving. You don't know right now at this point. You're having conflict, and that's what's happening in episode 3, because you're having conflict with Vision now. Vision, you see that Vision is having his own independent thought, but then Wanda's bringing him back into her thought. So you really don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to get ahead. But like I said, we found out that we have a world that's being built, and it's a real place. But we also found out that somebody didn't belong in that world, and they were actually expelled from that world real fast, which was really crazy. I mean, the look on Wanda's face after she threw Monica out was something else. I was like, man, you kind of enjoyed that, didn't you? You ain't, but it fits the theme. Everything that goes against what her happiness in this thing, she has to get it out. Just like she rewinded when she saw the beekeeper. No. Right. Just like she reset everything when Vision came in this episode. Well, let me go back. Let me just describe the episode real quick so that we don't get ahead. Episode started, she was pregnant. Then she was trying to hide her pregnancy from Monica, who came over. The doctor came in and made some quirky jokes. Now, if y'all did notice, that was the actual Brady Bunch house. I don't know if you peeped that, but that was the Brady Bunch house, right? And there was a couple of other sitcoms that they kind of mixed in there, but the Brady Bunch is the main one I caught, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Partridge Family too.
Yeah. She came over and she was trying to hide the pregnancy, and as she was trying to hide the pregnancy, of course, and I'm skipping past some things because if I get into those things, then we're going to get into who's driving and what's going on, all the outside influences. There's so much. So at the end, she's having babies, and Monica Rambeau is helping her while the house is on full exorcist mode. Everything's going crazy. She's helping her deliver the first baby. And then the next baby comes out. And of course, Vision wanted to name one baby Billy. She wanted to name the other baby Tommy. And of course, anything about comic books, Big G, what is Billy and Tommy's real names?
Billy and Tommy are the children of Wanda that they're called Wiccan and Speed.
Okay.
And they're actually Wiccan and Speed are actually folklore, like world building Marvel characters for what's called the New Avengers.
Okay, so we're gonna start right there. All right. So Vision used his powers, ran over and got the doctor, came back. By the time he got the doctor, Wanda was already having one, and then of course Wanda had the second one. He then walked the doctor out, and here's where you see Vision having a difference of opinion, right? He's kind of caught, and he's like, okay, wow, this is getting weird. And he looks over and he sees Agnes, and he sees the other neighbor. What's his name?
Herb.
He's Agnes and Herb talking.
Or Herb. They sometimes, if you notice in the episode, sometimes they call him Herb and sometimes they call him Herb. It's weird.
What it is. But here's the interesting point about this. You know that there's forces at work, right? You don't know how deep those forces have dug themselves in, because Agnes didn't seem to have much authority over any of the situation except her, right? Because she was like, she shouldn't be in there with her. She shouldn't be in there with her. She couldn't stop that. Right. She couldn't interfere with that. but she could stop Hurd from telling Hurd what he wanted to tell Vision. Now, that was the overall third episode, and I'm trying to stay away from all of the good stuff that we're about to discuss, but I'm going to definitely throw this one up and allow you guys to jump on it. So here's the thing. We know we have multiple enemies inside of WandaVision at this point. Why do we know that? Dane pointed it out. You got a voice on the radio that keeps saying, who's doing this to you, Wanda? So we obviously know that Wanda's not doing some of this stuff to herself. We obviously know that. The second reason why we know that is we're seeing things happen that are off schedule, things that are pulling Wanda into reality again. So we like the song she sang in her native language. The song that she sang brought her out of her reality, and it also brought Monica Rambeau out of the trance that she was in.
Wow, that's good. I never see that one. That's good.
Monica didn't, because think about this. Monica's character the whole time was like, I don't even know how I got here.
That's true. Right. Wow. I didn't catch that one. That's good, bro.
But it brought her out of her trance.
Yeah.
And she said out of her mouth before she even realized it. And you can see how she accessed the information. She was like, oh, yeah, Ultron killed your brother. And then all of a sudden,
wow,
out and she expelled her that fast. Now, your take on that, Dane?
Well, I think, man, like I said, man, I don't know.
And I would
it's a matter of where they draw.
I would go overall on the three, where we're at. Overall on the 3 episodes. Now let's sum them up. Let's talk about where we're at and what's happening.
I honestly don't know. Because the question is, are they gonna go the route in some way where in the comic version of the story? Because some of us who are aware of the comic version, we know what happens. Typically, Marvel doesn't follow those lines tooth and nail. You know what I'm saying? They kind of maybe hit on some of it. So that's the thing, is like, I mean, we all know at some point she speaks those words. I think the whole series is going to end with her speaking words. Many of us who are familiar with the story know at the very end she said no more mutants, and it changed reality. We think where this is heading is this is a way that all of these manipulative characters that are affecting her in this realm, she's going to actually bring them out of that realm when it's all said and done. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen eventually.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've watched shows, TV shows, the little snippets on YouTube and all whatever else, and there's so many conspiracies out there right now about who is the main antagonist, who is the main characters, who's the villain, what's really going on, and I have my own theory of what I think of the process is actually happening with this show. So what I say is that I believe that it's like a multi-layered concept. You have everything from the reboot and the rebuild of Vision and Wanda's reality to different entities at play. Everything from what is a main comic book antagonist from the series, a guy named Mephisto, who's the actual devil in Marvel comic books, to the Grim Reaper, to Agatha Harkness. And the Grim Reaper has a whole backdrop and a whole story about how he's tied directly to Vision. So there's a lot of little different antagonists that's going on. Even I had actually one of my friends talk to me, and he's like, man, Sean, did you notice how the hexagon is in every episode? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, that's a logo of AIM. And AIM is a spinoff of Hydra. And you've already seen Hydra in the episodes, from the Watch to them talking about she can take a Hydra bath and just get away from everything. So you have a hard concept of really, at this point, figuring out who's really behind all of this and what is this becoming. But we do know for sure that there's outside, this is outside of what we call our normal reality. There's something completely going on to the end of episode 3, when Monica Rambeau was expelled from reality. You actually saw in the backdrop there was an actual town. There, it almost looked like it was in the middle of a football field, and it was like this big black entity, and there's all these cars and trucks and tents and all this stuff. It almost puts you on that mindset of the Thor thing.
Yeah.
Grounded Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, and it's like they're trying to figure it out. But it plays into what Sword is. Sword is an observational unit like Shield that they're checking out, like what the threats are. So it's tying back into that phase 2, phase 3, even phase 1 concept of there's these people called Shield that look out and protect everything, and they report it because that's how they built the Avengers. So now you're taking the bigger concept of Sword being like from like outside the Earth area, looking at everything. Because you got to remember, we've had when the Marvel concept first started, people didn't realize, okay, there's outside entities. They thought it was Iron Man and Captain America and Hulk. They didn't know Thanos was coming. They didn't know that Dormammu existed in Doctor Strange's universe. They didn't know about the quantum realm. These are all things that they didn't know from the very beginning, or we didn't know as fans, unless you're an avid comic book reader. But now, going into this concept, they're bringing the concept of everything in. So, Ma, you said you got a question? What's going on, bro?
So here's my question. Who is in? And I know Dame has some stuff that he wants to input about the cast as well, but who all is inside of this vision now? Who all is? So we don't just we've established that we got Wanda here. We've established that, we don't know if Vision is a projection or not, right?
Right.
So we've got Wanda here. We know that Agnes is Agatha. Well, we're assuming that, but
Agatha Harkness.
Who else is here? Let's talk about that.
Well, the first thing is the one consistent thing that's been, and I actually went back and rewound all the episodes today. There's only, outside of Agnes, 2 characters that have appeared in every episode outside of WandaVision, and that's the commercials. The 2 individuals that play in the commercials. And so, are these shears or shatters of Wanda's mind, or are they part of her memory, or are there people that's actually in the MCU? So my theory is that that's her parents. They're inside of her mind. They're part of her mind. They're part of her concept. She ties everything about her mind to her parents. So those are the 2 folks that's been consistent. You've had other people show up, and we do know and do identify that the young lady that was in the magic show that was expelled out of the universe is Monica Rambeau. So we know for sure because we've seen her. But everyone else is almost like a mystery. There are characters in there, but we don't know what role they play, who they are, what they're doing outside of being part of this concept of WandaVision. So that's like that. To be honest, that gets me from week to week, because I want to know who they are.
So get this. Somebody pointed this out that I saw. I can't remember who it was, but I was watching some commentary on the show, and somebody brought up, you guys remember how because Hydra made the Winter Soldier. You remember how when they would speak certain words and certain things, how it would put Winter Soldier into his mode of being an assassin?
Yeah.
I think part of that is in Wanda too. And I think that's kind of the Hydra references. Maybe the stuff that we're seeing is also back shadows of her conditioning by Hydra.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a part of it too. You got to understand, they the ones that brought her powers out. So I'm thinking some of this, like Ahmad just put in the chat, for the children. It's like some of the stuff that they enlisted in her could be from that conditioning when they were raising her up. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I want to tell y'all, and I don't know if y'all knew this, but I found this out when I was doing some research. Go look at the cast list, bro. One of the people, and we have not seen him yet. Y'all remember the dude that was Quicksilver from the Fox show, from the Fox movies? Not the one that was her brother in the Marvel movie that died, but the other dude that was Quick. Dude, he is on the cast list for WandaVision. Who is he gonna play?
Right.
That blew my mind, man.
It's almost like
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, it's almost like that whole multitude of madness concept. Are we going to see a multiverse on the MCU? That's what it's like, and we don't know. I mean, we really don't know, and that's what's capturing me.
We actually have to see the multiverse. I mean, we can tell by what Dame is saying. What Dame's brought out is a real good point. Why y'all bringing Tobey Maguire back? Why y'all bringing
Andrew
Spider-Man back? Why you bringing Mary Jane back? I mean, we're in this multiverse of madness, and they're kind of tipping it. Like I said, Kevin Feige has given you a portion of his mind. He showed you the way that he thinks and how he loads up this whole presentation by the first three phases that we got. You know what I'm saying? He's showing you. And I think these are more prequels. If we follow this, these are more prequels than the end of every movie that we would get. Because at the end of every movie always set up where we were headed. Right?
Yeah.
Now he's giving us these in the very beginning and say, look, I'm fixing to build them out like you've never seen them be built out before. Because literally it's there. But I think so more than anything, we're guessing that Mephisto's here, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's no doubt. There's too many Easter eggs about Mephisto. Everything from the 666 on the toaster to the date 6/23/23. I mean, it's a lot. It's everything. The stork, and you can't blow him up, and it's red magic. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that's pointing to Mephisto, man. A lot.
The devil's in the details. That little statement they made.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
so we're saying Mephisto's there. We're saying that Agnes is Agatha because of the brooch. Brooch. We're seeing that. And so we know that Monica Rambeau is Monica Rambeau because it's Monica Rambeau. You know, and then we know that Wanda's Wanda. But we've got some other shady characters in here, like Dottie, for instance.
Yeah.
You know, Dottie's a shady character. Who is this Ralph that Agnes keeps mentioning?
I think Ralph is Mephisto.
It could be. It could be. And I side with it because of this.
Get this, man.
She says that the birthday their wedding date is June 2nd, right? So if you know anything about the comic books, June 2nd, 1692 was the date that Agatha Harkness was tried in the Salem witch trials, right? So the literal date of the Salem witch trials is June 2nd. So, and that's when she sort of like sold her soul, gave her life over to Mephisto. So it's almost like, they're telling you, it's like, it's the old concept of Marvel. They're telling you in plain sight what it is, but you don't know. You know, that's how they got us. They got us and they built that phase 1, 2, and 3. You knew, but you didn't know. We knew Thanos was coming, but how was Thanos coming? Now is Mephisto coming, you know?
She told who was that was asking them when they were outside? I think it was Vision. Vision was talking with her, with Agnes, and she said, "Oh, Ralph looks better in the dark anyway."
Yeah.
Come on. I was like, wow, you know. So.
Right. It's a lot. Like I said, the world building, man, is just unbelievable. You know, but the concept, and now this is something that I picked up on, and I've talked outside of off air, you know, with the guys. You know, we had this conversation about the whole references to Grim Reaper. You know, why they keep going back to Grim Reaper. And, you know, and Grim Reaper, as far as Vision is concerned, is huge with Marvel folklore. Grim Reaper is the brother of Simon Williams. Simon Williams is Wonder Man. Wonder Man is a huge Avenger character, you know. So, and Vision's mind patterns was actually built off of Wonder Man's brain. So, is Marvel trying to bring Grim Reaper and Wonder Man and tie him into to the show to build out characters? I mean, so it's like we're saying, it's just like we don't know who everybody is. Another thought or theory that I heard is that Nightmare is in this. You know, so Nightmare is a Doctor Strange antagonist that's sort of like Mephisto. He controls dreams and reality. So and there's been subtle hints, you know, about Nightmare. So even Vision, you know, think about what's going on with Vision. And Dame, you said you got something you want to say about Vision.
So check this out. There was an interview that was done with Paul Bettany, the dude that plays Vision. And he said that at the end, they had actually filmed this. There was going to be a post-credit scene that was going to be in the end of Endgame. They didn't notice they didn't have a post-credit scene in Endgame. It just ended. But they had filmed one. And Paul Bettany said that in the end credit scene, it was Wanda going into this, like, it looked like almost like what would be like a morgue, and she took the body of Vision and left. So,
right.
and that did, but and Kevin Feige said as much as they wanted to put it in, they made the decision not to do it. But that would have been the perfect segue for them doing, you know, WandaVision.
Right.
Like, what did she do with that body? You know what I'm saying?
And
right.
you know, so my thought process on that is, I'm glad you brought that up, because my question is this Vision?
We don't know.
Are we seeing Vision, or are we seeing Wanda being Vision?
Yeah.
Right? Because there are signs where, like when she grabbed his knee, there are signs where you can see that there's something else outside of Wanda controlling Vision. But who? What?
Right.
How?
Right.
So I think this is being set up to be very awesome. So everybody who, I started out this conversation saying the average Marvel viewer and the average movie goer is not going back and getting on the comic books. But what I'm saying to you is everything is going to shake out to be marvelous in the very end. You need to understand, he's putting this together in a way in which you're going to catch on. And when the light clicks, it's going to click. I mean, it's definitely, we're seeing so many of the original things that he likes to do inside of Marvel movies that Kevin Feige likes to do. We're seeing so many of those things being laid out. You know, he's not wasting anything, right? He's not wasting anything at all. And just to kind of jump ahead, maybe I feel like, just like what G said earlier, I feel as if this is a perfect way, because remember, Marvel now has the X-Men. This is a perfect way to segment into bringing mutants into this world. Because right now, we're not accustomed to mutants inside of the MCU. You got men, you got Iron Man, you got Winter Soldier, these are all men. You got Falcon, you got Black Panther, they're all men, right? Now, we've been toying with, you know, mutants. I mean, the Incredible Hulk, we've been toying with, but we haven't gravitated and brought everybody in. Spider-Man, we ain't brought them in. There's just men. Ant-Man, it's just men. But now we're getting to the point to where we're about to open this whole universe up to mutants, and I cannot wait. I don't know about you guys.
Oh man, it's gonna be crazy.
To like 5-6 years ahead, so I can see all of the movies on a binge and see how he got us to that point. For real.
Right.
Now, one of the things I wanted to throw out there when I was talking about them bringing in, I can't even think of the actor's name, so forgive me, but the dude that was the last Quicksilver from the Fox movies, he could, you know, because you notice time keeps jumping. like almost every episode is like another decade, another decade. What if he's the grown-up version of Quicksilver, but he's Speed? He's her son.
Yeah, we don't know.
Wow.
We don't know.
That's big.
You know, and to piggyback off something that both of you guys have said, you know, when you start talking about the concept of mutants, right? And you know, me personally, you know, as you can see in my background, I'm a diehard X-Men, you know, X-Men fan, you know, and and so the concept of mutants and understanding like who Wanda and Pietro actually are, they're Magneto's kids. We didn't see that in the MCU. They're Magneto's children. So in order for them to introduce the concept of mutants, you got to tell the story on how Wanda and Pietro are really mutants, right? In the comic books, Wanda and Pietro were the second and third mutants introduced, right? The first mutant was the Submariner. The second one was Wanda and Pietro. They came even before the X-Men, as far as the comic books is concerned. So when you're laying, like Ahmad said, we're laying the concept of Kevin Feige world building everything, you know, and to bring characters like the X-Men or characters like the Fantastic Four or characters like the Submariner into this world. I'm so excited. I just don't know what to do. It's weird. It's a little different, but I'm excited because I'm seeing a different angle or different ideology about what the Marvel universe actually is. And man, I like I said, I'm just excited.
I am too, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really exciting, man. I the funny thing about it is, you know, next week we're gonna be talking about episode 4. I have no idea what they're gonna do. And that's what I love about it. That's what I love about it. I mean, it's like it's literally fresh material. And I think it's just an awesome time for anyone who loves Marvel, who's loved these movies that they've created. I think that with this being their first endeavor into doing TV, they're knocking it out the park, man. So
A+.
To reiterate what Ahmad said, man, y'all just hang in for the ride because I know it. They going somewhere with it. Trust me, they are definitely going somewhere with it.
You guys, man, I thank y'all for hanging out with us. This is our first episode of Marvelous. Of course, myself, Big G, Dane, we're going to be here. We're going to give you more. Man, make sure you like and comment, man, and share it with your friends. If there was something that was insightful that you got from it or something that got you wondering like, and you have questions, just go ahead and leave a comment. We'll definitely reply to those and we'll get back with you. But till next week, man, we'll be here. Your boys at Marvelous. We out.
Keep it marvelous, y'all.
All right. Marvelous.